Welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast. We have all absolutely been there, squinting around the kitchen like a raccoon at noon, looking for the glasses that you literally just set down 2 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly frustrating.
It really is. And, losing things, your keys, your wallet, your glasses, it isn't just annoying. It really spikes your stress. And, well, frankly, it can make you feel older than you are, like you're losing a step.
Right. And I think it's so important that we tell you, the listener, right out of the gate, you are not losing your mind. Not at all.
Exactly. Here at the Senior Techie, we believe you are completely capable of mastering these tools. You're losing a battle against your own habits, basically. And it is a battle you can absolutely win.
Oh, completely. Because, our mission today is to share some really simple, life-changing habits and then look at some completely accessible tech tools to help you, spend less time searching and more time just living.
Yeah, that's the goal. So before we jump into the tech, we need to understand why we misplace things in the first place and dispel this myth that it's all about memory decline.
Yeah, it really isn't. It's actually a fascinating quirk of human neurology. It's about how your brain handles transitions from one task to the next.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I read that the #1 spot for losing reading glasses is actually the bathroom.
Yes, the bathroom.
Hmm.
Which sounds weird, right? But it's due to something cognitive psychologists call forward momentum.
Forward momentum, what does that mean exactly?
Well, your brain is this incredibly efficient, energy-saving machine. So when you walk into the bathroom to, say, wash your face, your ultimate goal is the sink in the mirror.
Right.
So as you walk in, your eyes automatically lock onto your reflection.
So my hands are just like doing busy work in the periphery.
Precisely. Your hands instinctively pull the glasses off and just set them down on whatever flat surface is nearby.
Yeah.
A counter, a towel, whatever.
Wow.
But your visual cortex, which is the part of the brain that actually logs spatial coordinates, it never looks at the counter.
Huh.
It deliberately skips logging that location to save processing power because it's already moving on to the next task.
It's like leaving your car running while you dash into the house.
Yeah.
Your brain is already doing the next errand. It's not worried about parking the item properly.
That is a perfect analogy, yes.
But if it's just a feature of an efficient brain, we can't just try harder to remember, can we?
No, trying to force your active memory to log every minor hand movement, it's exhausting. And it usually fails. You have to use the no-tech solution first, which is the one spot per thing rule.
The one spot rule. Okay, so picking one visible home for important items.
Exactly. You have to make the right place so convenient that you basically won't use anywhere else, like teas go on a hook or a bowl by the door.
Right, literally right at the door, not on the kitchen counter 5 steps away.
No, because then you've passed the threshold. Wallets go right with the keys. And for glasses, they need brightly colored cases in fixed spots. So the nightstand or the back left of the bathroom counter, TV remotes get a dedicated holder.
I love that. And, a great action step for you this week. Pick your most lost item, assign it one home, and maybe put a sticky note there for a few days just to build that habit.
The sticky note works wonders. It really does.
But even with the perfect one-spot system, life happens, right? Things get bumped, the dog jumps on you. So when an item isn't in its home, we need a strategy so we don't just panic.
Right. And that brings us to the 18-inch rule.
Yes. So this rule says that when something is lost, it is almost always within 18 inches of where it belongs.
Exactly. It slid under the glasses case, or maybe it fell behind the key bowl. It's in a radius.
But why shouldn't we just tear the room apart? Because my instinct is always to just start moving pillows and throwing magazines around.
Which is the absolute worst thing you can do. When you start rummaging like that, you are actively creating massive amounts of visual noise.
Oh, that makes sense.
You're just moving things further away and completely confusing your brain. You have to look methodically, left to right, close to far.
Like a radar sweep.
Exactly like a radar sweep.
Uh-huh.
There's an author, Michael Solomon, who basically wrote the book on finding lost things, and he has 4 great tips.
Let's hear them.
Number 1, don't start searching until you actually have an idea of where to look. Stop and think first. Number 2, look where it's supposed to be first, even if you think you already checked.
Oh, I'm so guilty of assuming I already checked the counter.
Right, we all are. Tip number 3, repeat the item's name out loud while searching. And tip 4, check if it's hidden in its proper place, like glasses hiding under a book on the nightstand.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. Tip number 3, repeating the name out loud. Walking around saying keys, keys, keys. It feels a bit silly. Why does that work?
It does feel silly, but it's called linguistic priming. When you speak the word out loud, it actually focuses your brain's visual search criteria.
Really?
Yeah, it sharpens your visual processing. Your brain filters out everything that doesn't look like the geometric shape of keys.
Wow, so you're actually programming your eyes with your voice. That is amazing.
It really is.
But, okay, so when the 18-inch rule fails and the radar sweep fails, that is when it's time to call in some backup. Simple, empowering technology.
Absolutely, the Bluetooth trackers.
Yes. But before we name products, we really need to translate the jargon, because Bluetooth tracker sounds complicated. So think of a Bluetooth tracker as a tiny electronic bell connected to your smartphone by an invisible, highly elastic leash.
I like that. That's a great physical analogy.
As long as you're holding the leash, you can ring the bell. But there's also the Find My network, which is a completely different concept. How would you describe that?
So the Find My network is basically a massive anonymous neighborhood watch.
A neighborhood watch. Okay.
Right. Because if your keys fall out of your pocket across town at a coffee shop, you aren't close enough for your invisible leash to work, right? The leash snapped.
Yeah, I'm miles away.
But if a stranger with a smartphone walks by your keys in that coffee shop, their phone spots your electronic bell, and it silently and very securely passes a note up to your phone saying, "Hey, I found your keys over here."
And the stranger doesn't even know they helped me.
You have no idea. It's all in the background.
That is incredible. Okay, so let's talk about the actual tools. For iPhone users, the big one is the Apple AirTag, specifically the second generation.
Right, the second-gen AirTags. They run about $29 for one, or $99 for a 4-pack.
Which is pretty reasonable for the peace of mind.
It is, and the new features are great. They have a 50% louder speaker now, so if it's buried in a coat pocket, you can actually hear it.
Oh, that's huge. Because the old ones were kind of quiet?
Exactly. And they have an extended precision finding range.
Precision finding. That's the feature that puts a literal arrow on your screen, right? Pointing you right to the item, like a game of hot and cold.
Yes, exactly. It counts down the feet and inches. It is incredibly user-friendly.
So if you're an iPhone user, a great action step would be getting a 4-pack of AirTags. Put one on your keys, one in your wallet, and maybe 2 for your luggage or a daily bag.
That's a perfect setup. But, we have to mention Android users too.
Of course. What's the best option for Android?
The Tile Pro is fantastic. It's really great for large homes because it has a 400-foot direct Bluetooth range. So that invisible leash is super long.
400 feet, wow.
Yeah. And Google also has their Find Hub, which used to be called Find My Device. It's a steadily growing network that supports all sorts of different trackers.
So Android has its own massive neighborhood watch now.
Exactly. You are covered no matter what phone you use.
Well, as amazing as these trackers are, they aren't a magic wand for absolutely everything. We need to talk about their physical limitations. Because I get asked this all the time. Can I put an AirTag on my reading glasses?
Yeah, the glasses dilemma.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no. The trackers are just simply too bulky for most eyeglass frames right now. It would be so heavy and uncomfortable.
Right, they'd constantly be sliding down your nose.
Exactly. So for glasses, the no-tech approach is still the absolute champion.
Right, the multiple fixed spots, brightly colored cases.
Yes. And keeping cheap spare readers in every room. A pair in the kitchen, one in the office, one in the TV room.
Just scatter them around strategically. That's a great tip. Now, we also need to clarify the hardware requirements clearly, because you can't just use these with any old flip phone.
No, you can't. For AirTags, you need an iPhone running iOS 14.5 or later.
Okay. And what about that cool precision finding arrow you mentioned?
That requires an iPhone 11 or newer because it uses a special chip. And if you want the really extended range of the second-generation trackers, you need an iPhone 15 or newer.
So it's good to check what model you have before you buy. And frankly, if you don't have a smartphone at all, the one-spot fix system is still your best friend.
It absolutely is.
Now, I want to gently bring up the elephant in the room here. Because whenever we talk about tracking devices, there's a very common fear.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for privacy? I mean, can someone use these little tags to track me without my permission, slip one in my purse?
It is a totally valid concern. But I want to really reassure the listener here. The tech companies thought of this. Both Apple and Tile have built-in anti-stalking alerts.
How does that actually work in practice?
Well, your phone will actually notify you if an unknown tracker is traveling with you.
Wait, really? So my phone would pop up a warning?
Yes. If a tracker that doesn't belong to you is moving with you for a while, your phone says, "Hey, there's an unrecognized tracker here." and it will let you play a sound on it so you can find it and disable it.
Oh, wow. That gives me a lot of peace of mind.
It's very secure, and if you want to read more about this, there's some really great resources that the FTC offers great advice at consumer.ftc.gov.
And I know AARP has a great page, too, for further peace of mind. It's at arp.org/personal-technology/tracking apps devices, so highly recommend checking those out.
Absolutely. The safeguards are really robust.
Well, we've covered a lot today. The one-spot rule, the 18-inch rule, Bluetooth trackers.
You know, it brings to mind a final thought that I think expands on everything we've talked about today.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if the one-spot rule and the ability to methodically search bring so much peace to our physical homes, how might we apply this exact same calming logic to our digital lives?
That's an interesting pivot.
Right. Like, imagine applying the one-spot rule to the messy files on a computer desktop, or, the thousands of unorganized photos on a phone.
I am definitely guilty of having a messy computer desktop.
Most of us are. But applying that exact same philosophy, giving digital items one proper home, it can reduce so much daily stress.
That is a brilliant thought to ponder. Spend less time searching physically and digitally and more time living. I love it. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe at subscribe.theseniortechie.com.